My mom told me never to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen because now I have someone to complain to. We are the Certified Nunas, and we have some certified spoilers for you. This is going to be a special sort of episode that just comes up every once in a while when we finish watching a show and just really need to talk about it. So the show that we're decided for our inaugural episode is Where Stars Land, a 2018 show about a disabled man and a somewhat stupid girl working at an airport. Before we do that, I would like to invite Amanda to read the synopsis of what it's the show is supposedly about.
Where Stars Lands follows the lives of workers at the Incheon airport, and in particular, the interactions between a clumsy yet bubbly woman and a prickly and mysterious man. She wants to be a perfectionist and get everything right, but is very clumsy, and her reckless nature goes against this dream. She has a good heart and strives to do the right thing, even if it means going against the rule. He is a first-year member of the General Planning Department. He's a perfectionist who wants nothing but to be ordinary. He graduated from CASE and dreamt of becoming a pilot, but his poor vision ruined that dream. He seems cold and aloof when in fact he is lonely, but a mysterious secret he hides causes him to distance himself from everyone he interacts with. When these two polar opposite individuals interact, they start off on the wrong foot, but over time, can a love develop?
Okay, so if you're listening to this, you've probably seen Where Stars Land, and know for a fact that is not the plot. Like, in broad strokes, okay, yeah, it is about people who work at the airport.
That's
but
true.
and he does have a mysterious secret, but it's not his poor vision. It's his robot arm and leg. That just really has. It's like where something's technically true, but is mostly wrong anyway. Like.
It feels like this is what the original writer wrote.
Yeah.
And then came in and they were like, yes, okay. And like maybe he was going to have like a little bit of a limp or something.
Yeah,
but
or
then
like some other secret.
Other secret.
Like maybe the secret was just superpowers.
Secret is he's a superhero and he can stop cars with his bare hands.
But like,
they were, what? Like, I feel like maybe this is one of those cases where the writer was like, no, that's not the story I wanted to tell. What?
It ended this week, and immediately upon it, us all finished. Well, us minus Amanda didn't finish it.
I'm just going to go on the record as saying I dropped it at around 6 when his robot arm like attacked a car with its magnetic force and started crumpling the side. And I looked at that and said, nope, because you know what they're going to do? They're going to say, oh, look at, he tried to be normal and he shouldn't try to be normal. He should just accept his disability and like.
Okay, so no, that unfortunately was not the case. That was not the case. You were wrong, but you were right. Immediately upon finishing it, almost all the three of us, Sky, Jesse, and I, were like, can we talk about this, please? We need to have a discussion about this drama because the ending was such garbage.
We should also, like, clarify, like, a couple of weeks ago, we had been talking about how much we actually did enjoy it, even though at that point we were like, okay, there are really some things that are wrong, but it's an enjoyable drama to watch, and we were having fun. It was entertaining to us. And then, so this was a show that all three of us were, like, pretty okay with.
Yeah.
Well, and even for the ending, I think we were kind of across the spectrum because I did not rage at the end initially whatsoever. Because I kind of expected it to be like kind of what it was. But aspects of it.
Into a fury. We worked you in.
So for me, plot-wise, show-wise, I was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But as far as when you do think about the messages it's sending or the thing, you know, what is it saying as a theme or whatever, it's like, oh, that's a big problem.
Yeah. So the biggest problem that we have with it is that basically the theme is being disabled is bad. Not like, you know, like if you have a disability that's inconvenient, but like that if you have a disability, you should do everything you can to no longer have a disability, even if it kills you.
Yep.
That's not a good message. And there was a brief moment where I thought, I truly believed for just a second that maybe they weren't going to have that message, because there was the episode where he goes around in his wheelchair and it shows how inconvenient society is for people with mobility issues.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very poignant, that like nobody would help him, like he couldn't get a cab, like he couldn't catch a bus, like, no one, picked up his phone after knocking it over, like people just walked by as he struggled to get back to his chair. And I thought that just for a moment, it was so poignant that I believed that somehow they would turn it into a message about how society needs to be more accommodating to people with mobility issues. It didn't.
I thought that too. And I, like, it was like you knew, like, you kind of just hoped that maybe the writer just wouldn't, like, do it perfectly, but, like, still kind of get there where you're, like, generally, we knew what you were going for. And that, I really did like that episode, because it really did show a lot of things that are actually true. It wasn't, like, a heightened thing. It really was.
And, like,
if someone was in a wheelchair at the area,
Yeah, the situation he was in, like, oh, your girlfriend just got stabbed, like, yeah, that's heightened. Yeah, but just trying to get around, like, everyone in the park is staring at him when he's just, minding his own business, and, like, then everyone's too awkward to help him when he needs help, and, like, he tries to get a cab, and the wait time is, like, 3 hours or something, like, yeah, that's the reality, But, and then there was, like, another scene that I thought was quite nice, because his big character arc, I believed, foolishly of me, was that no one else actually had a problem with him being disabled.
Mostly no one else.
Yeah, mostly, like, the people who knew about his disability didn't care.
Except his brother.
Well, yeah, but his brother's a piece of shit, so we don't care about him.
Yeah, his brother was also doing it like he was just using it. He didn't actually care that he was. He just wanted him gone, so he was using that as an excuse.
Yeah. But, like, no one else but him actually thought of this as sort of his defining characteristic. Like, he believed, like, from what I could gather from the show, that he believed that if he was disabled, then he was useless, essentially. And so I think a much more positive message would have been, he's not useless, because disabled people aren't useless. And the other thing was, like, he believed he wasn't normal, like, no one would love him or whatever. But then there was that other poignant scene where he's, like, just walking around, and then there's a couple sitting in the airport, and they're obviously in love or whatever, and the guy's in a wheelchair. So I thought, oh, like, maybe they're gonna, like, have, like, a healthy acceptance of him. No. They cheesed and they trapped us. He disappeared for a year, and then somehow came back walking.
And didn't show his face.
Didn't show his face for some reason. And he was walking, which also didn't make sense, because apparently, like, his robot arm got destroyed. And
Doctor didn't really want to make him a new one, and thought that he should really just accept who he was, so there was no reason, like, for him to come back with, if it was new, like, the doctor, like, made new ones in a year, but also was like, okay, fine, whatever, I'll just get you new ones.
I worked out all the kinks with the previous prototype, so we're good to go. Like, it was so stupid.
It was also pretty obvious that, like, the main characters, like, didn't communicate during that period of time too, just like they always do.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, gosh.
You don't know how to text, like, your other arm still works, you can still text.
Twitter still works.
Didn't change her
Facebook,
number.
Instagram. Hello.
Cow talk.
Send a letter. She lives next
We
door.
are all talking right now.
I know.
Other cities.
We all live in different parts of the world, and we're all talking right now.
That was not skimmed over. The second lead dude was pretty much like, dude, we live in a society where there's social media.
Yeah, like
Dude,
I
dude,
so I
sad.
just kind of like that he called out how stupid the ending of his own show was. That was kind of
Oh.
great. But like it made me so mad because
Well, I
there had
to
a
go back to-
potential for there to be a really good ending.
Yeah, I think that's what the
Mhm.
biggest problem was, that there was this potential and you saw it,
Yes.
but they messed it up so badly and so poorly, and also gave this kind of like really bad message on top of it. It just like fell apart. It's like it's worse than just like having the last 2 episodes be flashbacks. Like
Right?
I feel like I could have like even just dealt with that more. Like if it was just they were like, I don't want to write anything,
Or
so
if,
let's
like,
just
to be honest, if they had just ended it at him stabbing himself with the little thingy,
yeah.
I would have been like,
Fine.
okay, not a very satisfying ending, but I get it.
Well, so I actually wanted to talk about that scene because we were all hoping for the character arc of him at least accepting himself.
Yes, which he kind of did.
The lead girl, that's what she was trying to get him to do for like however many episodes. Accept yourself. How about you take your darn stuff off and live? Because that would be good. And he's like, I pretty much don't really want to live, whatever.
Yeah.
So then she is given the little lightsaber discharge thing, and
the sonic screwdriver.
Yeah. And she is pretty much tempted to do that when he's asleep to kill off his robo stuff.
But she can't do it.
Because that's like creepy and weird.
Yeah, and also it's taking
It
away
means
his
to take away his choice, right?
Yeah, like, and she doesn't want to do that.
His choice.
Even though she's crying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so she can't make herself do it, so he does it himself.
So he wakes up and like she pleads, and then he takes her hand and then kills it off. And so like that is actually a pretty well done scene considering.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
So from that moment,
that's why that ended.
chugging
towards an okay ending at that point. And it would have been very easy to have an okay ending at that point.
I know.
Yeah.
Like we even discussed in our group chat how an effective ending could have been. It could have been almost the same last scene, except that instead of meeting him in the airport, she walks into the office and he's sitting at the desk working, and then someone calls him and he turns and he's in his wheelchair. Like that he's still the same person he was.
Yeah.
He still can do the job.
And
Yeah,
he
he's
smiles
not
at
a
her.
largely desk job.
You can still do the job that he does, like in a wheelchair. Like, because basically the things that we saw him doing that weren't over the top ridiculous, like stopping stabbers or whatever. He did paperwork.
Yeah.
He walked around telling shops to put banners away.
Put up the little barrier thingies.
And he made a presentation.
He made a presentation.
Those were the
He
three
worked
things.
very hard though.
Those were the three things that he did, and with the exception of put up the barriers, but you can just get someone else to do that.
Yeah.
You can do all those things in a wheelchair. So
Because also a lot of the other like members of their team, especially like when they moved into that new terminal, they just kind of sat by their computers and did nothing.
Never left
The only two who were like actually going up and walking around and like doing all like their job was a little weird, but I don't know, like it could be an actual real job because it was like their customer service, but they were really not customer service. They were kind of like the in between. So they were just like they did filler stuff that concerned customers, but there are ways to get around doing almost everything in that job.
One of the desk jobs. Make one of those other people
there were
walk
so
around.
many desks in that office.
But he can also go around and tell people to put up the banners, and like he could still even go up because there were times when he would like fill in for like lines, like taking like tickets or whatever, or like custom tips. He could still do that too.
I travel a lot. I've seen people doing that job in wheelchairs. Like it's not unheard of. Like I don't understand. And then it could have had the nice character arc of like him accepting that he's not useless, that he's more than just his legs, you know what I mean?
Or like he could also be the like forefront of like making the airport even more accessible because he would be in a position where it's not just a customer who like may only come in like once and then leave, but like he's gonna be there constantly and like can be like, oh, we need to address this as an issue because I can actually see it.
And then that would have been a good message.
And then the chick who ended up being the director or vice president or whatever she ended up being, she obviously had a disabled brother in the past.
Yeah.
And so like there was all types of stuff you could have gone with.
They could be a dual team of like being the
There was so
forefront.
many
Accessibility
stories
awesomeness
going on there. Like there was just so many stories in that story.
Yeah.
Like there was so many backstories and like characters that seemed really important in the first few episodes, and then you guys are going like, and then they disappeared, or and then I never saw them again, and then they never talked about that.
But there were like main characters that you just didn't get enough of.
Yeah.
Like, why was the dad homeless? What happened? What happened to her dad?
Did the dad die? I mean,
why was this
robotic?
Was a completely different story? That somebody wrote a story, an
Yeah.
office drama about people who worked behind the scenes at the airport.
I sort of
and
got
somebody
the
else
impression-
said, this isn't interesting enough. We need to make him a superhero.
Someone else outside of those.
I actually thought that what we were watching from the first episode, like if I was going from the first episode, I thought what we were watching was a show about a superhero hiding the fact he's a superhero. And then they pull out this robot arm and this weird backstory with the brother in a car accident, and then the dad at the noodle shop for some reason, but then the robotic...
Because everybody has to be connected, like some weird way.
Yeah.
My question is, why is this robotics engineer now running the noodle shop? Like,
yeah,
if he's so good that he can build a robot arm and leg.
Why is he there? Because where is the dad? And especially because like they kept talking that the dad wasn't contacting her.
Yeah, and
like
why
after
was
a
it
certain
important
point
that he knew her dad? Why? Where did he go when he?
Because they said he sold the noodle shops.
To the robot guy. But why did the robot guy buy the noodle shop?
Where did he go? Where did dad go when he sold the noodle shop?
But that's so nice. Why is he not talking to his daughter? I know, I get that they're divorced, but still, like, he can still talk to his daughter. He's gotta be dead.
Social media.
I know.
We live in a world with
so frustrating because they would have these beautiful, like, miniature little stories of these passengers passing through the airport that were so beautifully fleshed out and condensed, but they couldn't give us backstories on like the main characters. Come on. Ugh.
And there clearly was backstories. Like that's the thing, right? That somebody clearly had these backstories. They were just
I feel like they
it
have,
from us.
yeah.
And it's
I feel like it could have been like something like that they had this story and they were told by higher ups that this needed to be something that like needed to be cool and interesting and then also pretty at the end. So
I feel
that's
like,
why he's not in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I feel like what's his name? I forget his name of the
EJ Hoon?
Yeah. He's too good of an actor for what we got.
Also,
you mean for not seeing his face at the freaking end?
I feel like he was
I think
given
all
a
of the
different
characters were good. Like they were legitimately, these were like good actors. And just in this really bad story.
I feel like the script they were given when they signed the contract was not the script they had to perform, but it was too late at that point.
Yeah, and they're like, well, we just have to do it.
He's so good. Why?
There was so much going on, and it just felt like they threw it all at the wall to see what sticks. And
she's
and
super popular too.
Yeah, she is too.
Lately, anyway.
Yeah, and she's really cute. Oh, but okay, I just need to make a little side note. Those two security guards.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, my heart.
I must admit there was a
only thing that gave me like fear of missing out was those two. I was like, every week people post and be like, oh, maybe I should go back and watch it. And then
there was a single satisfying plot line.
Yeah.
And that was the two security guards.
So they wind up together in the end, or
yeah, kind of.
No?
Kind of.
Pretty much.
They're not official yet.
It's implied, but like.
No. Well,
he
says they're not official, and then she pretty much is like, he's taken.
Yeah.
Home Alone. Get
They're
away,
just,
girl.
just that scene where they're both wearing the matching socks and they're I can't. It was so cute. But like one plot line could not save the show. There were just so many. I wanted to like it so bad.
Yeah.
Mm.
And there really were just like, if you pick out little things, there are like truly really great moments, storylines, and that's like the problem.
It's like
I feel beautiful
like
shots in it.
Yeah. The cinematography was gorgeous, and the lighting, and like you get the sense that there was a really good idea behind it. Yeah. But then, frankly, if the actors hadn't been as good as they were, it would have been a total disaster.
Yeah,
because like it was still kind of a disaster, but like it was like a cohesive disaster where it's like it was being held together out of sheer will.
I feel like there had to have been a reason why, because there's so many people in that show that are really good and like are kind of like highly sought after, and to get them all in this one show that they know like they're probably not going to have as much screen time because it is a heavy, character driven show, so you don't have that much, and to still like go for it and then it to turn out to be that. I want to know, like, there has to be like, because there are parts of it where it's like it doesn't feel like it was just the writer being bad. It feels like there are other things that were like preventing things to happen.
Yeah, there had to be barriers there.
Because when it was good, it was really good. Like I thought personally, like the little mini stories, I really liked that.
Oh,
like
so good.
The idea of having this story of what's going on behind the scenes at an airport, and
that's something you don't normally think about.
And then these little, to change it up a little bit every time with these little stories of people coming through the airport, and it gives you a great opportunity to have like foreign stars. We saw that with, what was it, like Filipino stars or something that they had. That pregnant couple was like an actual actor and actress from the country. You have this great opportunity to have stars from other countries come and, because it's an international airport, so have international stars do these cameos and stuff, and it's kind of a really super cool idea. And then it kind of fell by the wayside in order to show us like robot arm and
nonsense.
Whatever. Yeah.
I honestly wonder what theme they ended up, like what message they thought they were sending in the end. I definitely kept getting in the last episode, they kept saying things about life being short, just passing by. They kept kind of hitting that home with the guy retiring, with, they kept saying all those things, which made you think, oh, is he going to die? But I mean, I don't know where they were going with it. Again, I didn't hate it as much as you guys, but
I didn't hate it.
Problematic.
No.
Up until the last episode,
really
I was enjoying it. But sort of this problematic being disabled equals life ruining.
That's really what it is. It's like, because it's not, it's just the message about it. It's not like even just this fell. It fell, and it also like had this like actually super important storyline that it also fell. And that's what's like disappointing about it. I didn't hate it. The easiest
way they could have saved it, keep it exactly like they did it. Either have him in the wheelchair at the end, or even with just like a severe disability, like a limp, like
a cane or something.
Just keep him with some level of disability, still have the cute hug, all these things.
Yeah.
Boom.
They Soji subbed us, from Oh My Venus, where you get the devastating car accident, but then somehow is fine. But at least in that one, they showed him doing physical therapy. Like, it wasn't just like,
but there were like slow shots in the gym.
Don't get me started with that, with her texting him all the time and him not replying. Don't even go there.
Yeah, I know. That's just rude.
Yeah.
It's fucking rude. I'd be like, you know what? You're back, but go to hell.
I'm glad you're not dead, but
go.
Okay, another thing that they actually kind of gummed up at the end. I just kind of thought of it. The way she figured out that he was back was she got wind that someone had bent one of the little...
Yeah, so he's still destroying property.
So again, they made it his defining characteristic right at the
Yeah.
end. Like, he thought he was pretty much defined by his disability, but since it was a superpower, he was useful, so then it was okay. But then she kept trying to get him to accept it. You were hoping that because the discharge scene happened, he accepted the fact that he was whole without having superpowers. And yet, the moment they reintroduce him, pretty much he's defined by his superpowers again.
And they also had it set up really nicely because they had that robot back, the cleaning robot. Yes! And it could have been like exactly the same as like that first time that robot came and like pushed them together, except it's like pushing her to him. And they had the robot a little bit, but like it should have just been that like she could have just gone over there because the robot was acting up. Like that's all she needed. Like someone could have been like, oh, the robot's acting up. It's just sweeping up everybody, pushing them around. And then she could go over there and then see him.
Fake. Like it was like set up by someone just to get them together. Yeah, that would have been cute. I wanted to like it so much. I just.
And it's not just the missed opportunity, but in the end, the message is pretty crummy.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad.
I liked the show overall, but only on a surface level.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Because as soon as you dive any deeper into the show, you're like, oh, problem. Like, there are a lot of problems going on with this show. But like on a surface level, it's pretty. It's filled with pretty people. It has some beautiful little side plots, some beautiful cinematography, but it's just very disappointing.
Can't do much about it. Imagine what could have happened.
Oh. If it had been good.
Is this a good point for me to say, I told you so?
Yes. Oh.
I still would have watched it. I was still holding on. Like, every week I was, like, finding these little moments, and I was like, I just can't let you go, show. Really, I can't.
Like,
I kept having I had pretty realistic expectations for the message in the end. I really didn't think they were going to stick the landing with the disability thing. I really didn't.
I kind of hoped that they would, but, like, I knew... Like, you know that they're not.
Yeah.
But you're like, just a little part of you goes,
there's just that little hope.
but then they would do a scene where you're like, oh, they're going to stick the landing.
Yeah.
They're going to do it. They're going to make him accept himself.
Like, just kidding. We're going to make it terrible. No. And you're like, God damn it, K-dramas. You've done it again.
But really, I mean, I don't know if this is the first K-drama that had a disabled male lead in it.
From what I've seen, and I've seen quite a few, which is why I was hopeful, because at first, like, I just remember on Twitter, I don't quite remember who it was saying like, oh, like he's just gonna have a superhero, like give us the disabled hero we deserve, and then they did, and then I got all excited, but they still messed it up.
I guess it's typical.
We were hoping for too much progress in the world of
maybe the one thing we can hope that people got out of it, like, because the end message was crummy, but maybe the fact that you can have a disabled lead, maybe that'll
that's true.
Because, like, why can't you?
Yeah.
Like, he's in a wheelchair, he's smoking. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, and that shirtless scene. Ooh, spicy. Like, my eyes were drawn places I wasn't intending them to go. Like, he's hot no matter what he's sitting in. Like, there was, you know.
But I'm just saying, I hope that maybe that. So we were hoping for, of course, much better progress, but maybe because it was the first one.
Yeah, maybe this is the beginning of diversification.
Yeah. We can't accept so much or like expect so much from the very first one. We have to like keep on stemming from it.
Exactly. You know what I did like about it though? No one was rich. They were all normal people.
Yeah, even like the director guy or whatever he was, he was a hard worker. He wasn't.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like,
there was no like weird chaebol son who just like sat in his office desk.
The only time you dealt with that was the girl who was trying to like jump customs with her expensive stuff. Then other than that, it was like everyone was so that was a positive. Yeah, we got a positive. Normal people doing normal people stuff.
There's no like loan sharks, right? Yeah.
Well, there were thugs.
They were thugs, but they weren't going like after like someone specifically because they
What
weren't
the heck were the
paying
thugs
bills.
I
doing?
didn't really know what they were doing. Like, what was the plot? Like, there was something about the airport where, like, what did they want to do with the airport?
They wanted some position.
I don't understand what this whole plot was about. Like, did I miss something?
But they also did stuff to like mess up their intention. Like if they didn't do anything, then they would be fine and they'd have like control of the airport. But then they were like, nah, I gotta go for this guy.
Yeah, like,
and just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
It was
the
also,
fact that
I
they
mean,
wanted to kill him so much. Like,
why?
there
Like,
was not even
we beat up like
vendetta.
two of them, but the two of them were beating up some other guy. All's fair, right? Like, I feel like that's like a, something that just sort of happens to thugs. If you're gonna beat up the security officer for some reason, like, you might get beat up yourself. No, that's just, that's just the way of the
it's part of
game.
the job.
Doco Rewind would agree with you.
Yes.
Thugs are used to just beating each other up all the time.
Yeah, that's what thugs do. That's what they do. That's what thugs
And sometimes
are
they get
about.
beat up and they're like, oops. So any last words?
Nope, that was it. This is
Yeah.
So overall,
You guys got it all off your chest now.
Yeah.
I
can
feel
breathe again.
I feel unburdened by my.
We can move on from this show.
Well, it was because the message was so gummed up. Oh my gosh.
Oh, like, it had such potential.
I know. If it didn't have potential, like if it was just like, you're like,
just
okay, I'm in it for this stupidness. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
But it had potential, and that's what I find most disappointing about the whole thing. That and the horrible message that being disabled is bad.
Well, and I think it actually has social and cultural significance because it was the first drama to have a main lead guy be disabled.
Well, physically disabled.
Yeah.
It's talking like it's okay.
We've had some mental. There's been some mentally issues, which is even worse.
Yeah, which is often dealt with very poorly. Yeah. But we won't get into that. That's a whole other kettle of fish. So this has been certified news. We done spoiled where stars land. Overall, I give it a solid 5 out of 10. Tried.
Tried. Good for you.
I mean, I gave it a 7 out of 10, but my scoring is weird because it's like a personal thing. But if I was doing if I was just like reviewing for a site, it would probably be a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, like a 5.
Yeah, because there were points that I really liked about it, so that does add up to the score.
And acting was really good. It just borked it. Borked it at the end. It gave up. It cheese trapped us. We done got had by a show, ladies.
Yeah.
They played us.
We done got played. You told us so.
Skipped out on getting played.
All right. So if there's ever another show that needs to be discussed in depth, we'll see you again on Certified Spoilers.
Bye.
Bye.